It's got to be about tomorrow and planning for the next day, and then ultimately bringing all that into focus as we attack the season.
Welcome to the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick, Mike Dempsey, and Brian Sexton have all the news and information to get you ready for today's game. The Publix Tailgate Show is brought to you by Baptist Health, Farah and Farah, and by TIAA Bank. The Publix Tailgate Show starts right now.
Well, are we having fun yet? Who could have envisioned in late October that a 2-6 team that struggled to finish would actually have a chance at the division title based largely on the way it finished against the Ravens and the Cowboys? And that's the NFL, where every game, or nearly every game, is decided by one score. And last weekend, the AFC South alone featured two games in overtime
on Prime Video.
2 games on the final play of the game, where a field goal beat the Colts and the Titans. It's a crazy league, and in 2022, the Jaguars find themselves in the thick of it for the first time since 2017. And it couldn't be more dramatic than the way last Sunday ended. Could it? Tonight, we find out if this team and its rising superstar quarterback is ready for the NFL's biggest stage, primetime football in New York City. This is fun. Hello and welcome to Week 16. Brian Sexton along with Mike Dempsey for the first hour of the Publix Tailgate Show. The Jets and Jags coming up at 8:15 at MetLife Stadium outside New York City. Hello, Mike. How are you?
What's up, Brian? We just got done watching a replay, at least the final minutes of one.
It was fun to watch it with
NFL
you
Network.
and find out what was going to happen.
Yeah, right? And we're all sitting here like we're clever predicting the plays, and we forgot one along the way. Forgot that second down play that they stuffed Tony Pollard on.
I'm wondering if you remember what it felt like in this studio that Sunday morning we were here at the end of October when the Jaguars had just lost to the Broncos. Trevor threw those 2 interceptions, the one that killed it at the end of the ball game, and it just felt like, yeah, all right, well, 2-6, that's what this team is. We're going to stumble through the rest of the schedule. It's only going to get more difficult from here. The easier part of the schedule was early. The more difficult part was late. My, how things have changed.
Well, yeah, look, felt like a season of lost opportunities, and that's what it was up until that point. I mean, they had 6 one-score losses early, including against some of the worst teams in the National Football League. Let's not kid ourselves. You know, we're all looking at next week. Oh, great, we get the Texans. Well, oh, great, we're the one on their number, the one victory on their number. They've got the tie as well. So, look, you wondered, did Trevor Lawrence learn anything from the last time they had played the Texans, right, with that end zone interception? You had Surtain, this time Stingley the first time around, and that was a seminal moment in his season. The head coach has talked about it. Trevor Lawrence has talked about it. Basically, from that point on, he decided, I'm going to be more careful with the football. He's still making high-end plays. In fact, he's making more than ever.
Depending on what rating service we're talking about or who's evaluating it, if he's not one, he's the second highest rated passer since week 9. So there are a lot of things to cover. Let's jump into the big story, shall we? And we'll start with the head coach, who said that the short week is more mental than physical because the physical is a huge component of it. You got to get the mental side of it down as well.
I mean, the biggest challenge is getting as many guys healthy, and because you're on the practice field today, you're on the practice field tomorrow, which are typically rest days, for your players. And you've just come off a game where there's 70-plus plays and physical football game, and we're right back, we're right back in the classroom, we're right back on the practice field. So, the message to the team is number one, let's get healthy this week. Let's spend as much time as we can, in the building, in the training room, whatever you got to do, in the cold tubs, hot tubs, whatever it is, and get your bodies right, and then just understanding the game plan. We've got to be smart and, maybe not throw a bunch of new stuff at the players where they can, just go play stuff that we have done, since training camp, and just use that to hopefully to your advantage.
Well, a lot of that's just talking about the short-term bumps and bruises that are an every week occurrence in the National Football League. Brian, we've talked about it all year. The Jags have had some of the best fortune when it comes to health all season long, but things may be catching up to them a little bit. No Foley, Fatukasi, no Trayvon Walker in your front seven defensively today. And we know Cam Robinson, although not on IR, expected to be done at least for the regular season. Walker Little will start tonight. You got a couple of other linemen in Brandon Sheriff and Juwan Taylor who are less than 100% as well. So definitely something that could come back to bite them a little bit tonight.
All right, you mentioned the quarterback learning from his mistakes. He also has the chance now to learn from that game in Philadelphia. You remember the cold, the wind, the wet that we dealt with in, what was that, early October. It seems like
week
forever
4,
ago.
think, right?
Week 4 for sure. Long time ago. Well, he says he learned something in Philly.
Yeah, I take care of the ball a little better. But no, I mean, as far as just my preparation, I mean, you kind of know what to expect as far as it's probably going to rain, going to be cold. But I think you just approach like any other week, obviously. Ball security is really important, especially in games like that. It always is, but especially in those conditions. And just be smart, maybe work on it this week, some wet ball drill stuff with the wideouts and myself just throwing in those conditions. And but no, I mean, that's really it. That's all you can do. I think all the experience you have and stuff you can pull from is good. It rains here. It's not cold here, but it's rained here in 2 or 3 of our home games. So have experience with that, those 20-minute showers before a lot, or like during a lot of the games that you get. So we know what that's like, and just having to adjust on the fly, and hasn't really affected our plan much, or the way we call plays or execute. So it's been good.
I'll put it in the Trevor translator. I felt like he started off by saying, look, I'm not a dummy, okay? Right. I can't turn it over like I turned it over in Philadelphia. I've known this, and sometimes you get into a situation and things snowball on you. It's not like Trevor Lawrence didn't know that prior to the Philly game, that you need to protect the ball in all conditions. He did a terrible job of it that day. I don't think it's something that's going to follow him around the rest of his career.
I hesitate. I'm going to say this. The weather conditions are going to be a factor, obviously. It'll be raining. The wind, though, early in the week it was predicted to be 25 to 30, even greater. And now we're saying it's going to be somewhere between 12 and 15. It's not going to be great weather conditions, but I don't think you're going to see the ball coming back to the quarterback because the wind's that strong.
Correct. I think, footing at times can be an issue here, and, the receivers as well. Now, these guys can opt to wear gloves, which probably give you better grip than if you're catching in bare hands in dry conditions anyway. So, there shouldn't be too many excuses. Everyone's got to play in it, and they should be well prepared for it because they knew it was coming.
All right, the effervescent Zay Jones. I think that's the best way to describe him. He is a terrific interview, and he loves where this team is right now, and he said it very well earlier this week.
This is where it's fun, not saying it's not fun in the beginning, but, it's going to come down to who wants it more, who's going to execute, and we get to see what we're made of down the stretch. And I'm very confident in the men that I'm going to battle with.
Look, Zay's been fantastic, right? He's brought a great energy to the team, to the locker room. He's very thoughtful, outspoken, but he's also starting to play the best football of his career, right? And that's the most important thing. That's the bottom line. That's why he's getting millions of dollars to play this game, not just because he's a great guy. 3 touchdowns. He's already passed career highs in receptions, receiving yards. He's nearing a career high in touchdowns as well, and I mean, there are a couple of games this year that they flat out would not have won without his contributions.
Earlier on, it was easier to stop the Jaguars' passing game if you could take Christian Kirk away, and then here comes Zay Jones. Now you've got Evan Engram. Those 3 players have combined for 205 catches, 2,340 yards, and 16 touchdowns.
You're right. Evan Engram, really the last 3 weeks, he had the touchdown against Tennessee. He had the massive game there, or the 162 yards, 2 touchdowns
catches,
actually, right? 11 catches, had the touchdown the week before that, and then 8 more grabs last week. So they do have a 3-headed receiving monster that you can't just focus on one to slow this team
Absolutely,
down.
And the quarterback is obviously helping that one along as well. All right, from a defensive perspective, the Jaguars have to find a way to get to Garrett Wilson and some of these receivers that can get down the field like Corey Davis. The most important thing is that the Jaguars are in a position where they feel confident right now. And Josh Allen said earlier this week, the reason that the good times feel good is because the bad times felt bad.
We never tried to put ourselves in that position. I think we had to go through some learning, curves on how to handle adversity. I think we handled it pretty well. We never wavered. It was always been, we got to finish, just like how we treat the game. The game doesn't end until it says 0, 0, 0, 0 on the clock. And as long as we have a little time on the clock, we always have a chance to win. And that's how we looked at it throughout the season as well. And I think that's that's been our message all year. And I think it's going to continue to be the message till we get to where we need to get to.
look, every team says this, right? But I actually believe it in this case, in the fact that they had 5 losses in a row. They didn't waver. They kept fighting every week. They've had one game where they didn't show up this year. And typically every team in the league is going to have 1 or 2 of those. So if it doesn't become epidemic, and it hasn't, you got to believe that they are having that belief in themselves because they've shown the ability to come back when they've been down big.
All right, let's wrap it up with one of the big stories of the week, and that is that Walker Little will replace Cam Robinson, who is out with the knee injury. We do not know if he'll return, even if the Jaguars make it to the postseason. The regular season seems out. So it's Little now, who's a guy that someone told me earlier this week would be starting on a lot of teams. They like him that much. We'll find out. He has the perspective that he better look like he's a starter.
Coach Roucher does a great job of getting us ready every week, and I think we have a really great bond between us. A lot of trust has been built, and we all know, who's ever in there, you're going to be expected to play at the same level as the guy before you.
I agree with that, right? I mean, they drafted him 45th overall, Brian. I got to believe they would have thought he would have been a starter this year. And kudos to Juwan Taylor for winning that right tackle battle. And really, the offensive line has played pretty well this year, the tackles in particular. So
24 sacks allowed.
But let's not have that drop-off. Show us why you're worthy of a top 45 selection.
And he'll have his hands full. Carl Lawson's coming off the edge with a ferocious pass rush this year for the Jets, leading the way. So he's got a lot he's got to prove tonight. All right, earlier in the day, I got a text from ET. He said, man, I'm having some technical difficulty. I said, ET, you got to get this done. He goes, I'll try. I went, there is no try. There is get it done. About an hour ago, he said, Brian, it's done. And here we go with the most energetic segment in Jacksonville radio and a must-have for game day, especially with a playoff-type game like we've got right now. What would it be if we didn't play? Come on, somebody.
Where do I begin?
For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching worldwide. Let's go! Thank you, Dallas fans, for coming and spending your money in our city, and the look of disappointment and disbelief on Dak's face. That's right, you got beat by Duval.
Now. That's not nice, and I love it. Come on, somebody! Welcome to a very special primetime edition of Come On Somebody, the platform where I, E to the T, allow you wonderful people to express yourselves on all things Jacksonville Jaguars. And right now, I ain't gonna lie, we hot right now. We really feeling ourselves because we've been playing some good football. If you weren't at the bank this past Sunday, ooh, you missed one. It was definitely the most exhilarating and exciting environment I've ever been at TIAA Bank Field. And I can't wait to get back to the bank to do it again. But before we do so, we take a trip to New York. That's right. Tonight, we taking on them Jets on prime time football. Yes, sir! But I done ran my mouth entirely too much. Let's get to these phone lines and see what the people got to say. Come on, somebody.
Jets, we're not going to hear that.
Let's do our chant then. Jags, 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 Jags.
Come on, somebody. Duval.
Yeah! Come on, somebody.
Unbelievable.
Oh, you better believe it, baby. And who are we?
Duval. That play will go down as the immaculate interception.
And if you don't know what play he's talking about, I got you.
He drops the throw. Looking, fires middle of the field, and that ball is picked off! It is picked off by Rayshawn Jenkins! He's running it back along the right sideline! That is going to be a touchdown! That is going to be a touchdown! The Jags are going to win it on a Rayshawn Jenkins pick six!
The true star in the NFL resides right here in Jacksonville, Florida, and his name is Trevor Lawrence.
Talk that talk, young man!
I'm sure he'd say it with me when I say Duval!
As a matter of fact, he will.
Duval! This is what it sounds like when the boys cry. E.T.
Wait for it.
Go Jags.
Go Jags.
E.T. Who's baby here?
Who, baby?
Merry Christmas, Jets. You're going to get a big old box of loss this weekend. Come on, somebody.
There's a new sheriff in town. Big D doesn't stand for Dallas. It stands for Duval.
Hey, let me get this off my chest.
Do what you got to do, my guy.
The Jags are rolling into MetLife Stadium tonight, and we are bringing the fire. The fire, baby. And where there is fire, there is what? Smoke. There is smoke, baby. Bring it tonight, Jaguars. Duval.
Come on, somebody.
I knew he could do it. I knew he could bring this to our show tonight. No way he was going to be trampled by technical difficulties. Way to go, E.T.
Yeah, and to quote E.T., the Jets don't want that smoke, all right? So if you don't know, just ask somebody, all right? But I was fully confident that he would come through. He always does. And people are fired up, Brian. It's wonderful to have a spirit in this city like we've had the last couple of weeks.
Christmas is days away. The playoffs, the division title, it's all on the line. Coming off of one of the most dramatic wins in Jaguars' regular season history here at TIAA Bank Stadium, as he put it. How could you ask for anything more?
By the way, that Rayshon play call has a long way to go before it's as iconic as 90 yards! 90 yards!
Yeah.
I remember somebody calling that one back in the day for Freddie T, but that's going to go down as one of the great plays in Jaguar history.
Absolutely, and it reminded me of 97 Monday Night Football here along the same sideline. Clyde Simmons blocks Norm Johnson's field goal. Chris Hudson picks it up. Bill Cowher gets out on the sideline.
Saved his career.
It was an unbelievable night, absolutely, and that was an unbelievable finish. All right, we've got much more ahead here in the first hour of the Publix Tailgate Show, including...
I think it starts with just the relationships that have been built off the field and, outside of the building. Just really get to know each other as people and as humans and getting to know one another and really be able to learn how to love and trust one another.
The dulcet tones of wide receiver Christian Kirk, this week's Baptist Health player interview. Plus, CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco is next. The Jags and Jets less than 3 hours away. This is Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. SMART. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
The original pizza logs are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and available at the stadium on game day. You'll find those delicious gourmet pizza egg rolls at concession stands, clubs, and suites. For all their products, be sure to check out pizzalogs.com and have them delivered right to your home. That's pizzalogs.com.
Put down the burger, put down the dog. Pick up the original pizza log. There's only one. The original pizza log. Yeah.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
Well, the bright lights of prime time shining along with the Christmas lights this week, folks. It's a great Thursday night. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. Hour number 1 coming up at 8:15. Kickoff in a huge game for the Jaguars. Mike, you caught up with Pete Prisco this week. What was his sense? I mean, he's been around here for some of the biggest games and the biggest moments in Jaguars history.
Oh, he absolutely has. In fact, we talked earlier today, and you'll hear that coming up right now, Brian. But really just wanted to reflect and take a moment to realize where they're at, and could you have imagined that the Jaguars would be in control of whether or not they made the playoffs with 3 weeks to go based on the way this season started?
It's absolutely incredible, Mike. It really is. And you got to give them, the players and the coaching staff, a lot of credit, because this thing could have gone off the rails, and it did. And they're back in it, and they control their own destiny. I mean, here we are, a couple of days before Christmas, and they're controlling their destiny in the postseason. That is absolutely incredible.
From where Trevor Lawrence was coming out of the London game, look, we all thought he had it in him, right? But are you surprised how quickly from that point he has put himself in the conversation of elite quarterback play in the National Football League?
Mike, no, I'm not. I thought he would be even further ahead earlier in the season. I really did. Before the season, I predicted, 4,500 yards and 33 touchdown passes. He's not going to quite get to the touchdown passes in case, unless he goes nuts in the last 3 games. But he's going to be pretty darn close to that. So, he's going to get to the yardage number. He's probably going to get to 30 touchdown passes, and that's one heck of a season. Considering the way he had that little lull there in the middle when people started questioning him. And I think he used that to motivate him and drive himself, and he's become one of the best quarterbacks right now playing. In the last 6 weeks, he's been as good as anybody in the NFL.
One thing that Trevor Lawrence and his teammates have had going for them, Pete, and we've talked about this periodically, is a pretty good run of health this season. Not the case this week with Cam Robinson out, and the 2 starters on the right side of your offensive line, less than 100%. How big of a concern is O-line play for you tonight?
Good defense, too. That's a really physically tough defense, and they can get after the quarterback. They have some good young pass rushers on that team. So it's a concern, but that's why you drafted Walker Little. You drafted Walker Little with the idea that he would someday be a starter. Well, now he's a starter by injury, but he's a starter. So go in there and play well. He did some good things last week. He wasn't great, but he was good, solid coming in there. The way he did last week, I think he'll play well here. So I don't worry about him. If you drafted him in the second round, he should be able to step in and play.
All right. The last time we saw the Jags play in a heavy rain situation in Philadelphia, Trevor Lawrence ended up turning it over a bunch. Some are suggesting a over-reliance on Travis Etienne might be in order tonight, Pete, but that's just not been the DNA of this offensive staff. How do you think they attack the Jets tonight?
I think you got to be who you are. You have to be true to yourself, and true to themselves is to take advantage of that quarterback, and that quarterback's playing with confidence. Doesn't mean you have to drive the ball, 40 yards down the field, which he did last week with an incredible throw to Zay Jones, but get the ball into the playmaker's hands, make it easy, make quick throws, and get the ball to them, and still be true to who you are, because they're not a power run team. That's not who they are. They're a team that is built around his right arm, and I think they should play to that no matter what the condition.
Zach Wilson, like it or not, is 1-0 against Trevor Lawrence, right? And ran for that long touchdown last year where it looked like he was going to be out of bounds. But what do you do tonight if you're the Jaguars defense to make sure you put the right kind of pressure on Zach Wilson and show the world exactly what he's capable of being in terms of not protecting the football?
Well, one of the things he does do is he gets outside the pocket. And when he gets outside the pocket, he can create problems for a defense. But he can also, if you keep him in that pocket, he can also turn the ball over. We saw a terrible throw by him last week. That was an interception by the Lions. Bad throw. Made some good throws, but also a lot of bad throws. So I think you can turn him over. And, Jackson, what do they have, 12 interceptions on the season? They've turned the ball over, and I think that's an important thing for them. And I think they need to do that in this game, and they've done it. They did it last week. They've done it time and time again to limit the damage that the defense is causing, because they're not great on defense, so you got to turn the ball over.
Well, you're right. We talked about it last week. Dak will give you a couple opportunities to pick the ball off. One was a deflected play, but Rayshon Jenkins sealed the deal with those interceptions. Zach Wilson will likely give you a couple opportunities on the Jags defense tonight. Take advantage of them. Pete, do you think they'll take enough advantage that they come out with the win tonight?
I do, Mike. I think they're the better team. I think, we saw the Lions go in there last week and beat the Jets, and I think Jacksonville, if they're true to who they are, which is to let Trevor Lawrence throw the football around, they are going to win the game, and I think they will. I think they'll let him do that. Doug Pederson's a great play caller. He'll get them wide and spread out and use the entire field. And one thing against the Jets, you can get them going one way and pop it back the other way, and I think you saw that last week with the Lions when they had their game-winning touchdown. I think Jacksonville can do a lot of that, and I think they do. I think they win the game. Let's hope the wind isn't that bad. Because, the rain is one thing, but if it's windy, that's a pain. But let's just hope that's not that bad, and they can make their throws down the field.
Well, there you go. Pete had them, I think, at CBS Sports 24-20 over the Jets tonight. I picked it 23-20 myself. I don't think this is a game that anybody runs away from the other. I think the Jets defense can keep them in it.
And I think that the Jaguars have shown, especially since Week 9, the ability to play from behind, even if that's the case, and come from behind to win. I think it's going to be close as well. I say 21-17.
All right, we'll take it. All right, we'll take 3-0. We'll take anything as long as the Jags.
I'd take 1-0 if you could get it.
If it was allowed.
You can't. 2-0's the least you can do, and we'll take it. All right. If they're going to get it done tonight, Christian Kirk is going to be a factor, especially in these wet conditions. His sure hands are going to be very important. He is a savvy, calm, poised veteran. And I threw at him this week, prime time and New York and Christmas week and playoffs. And he said, no, I'm just focused on the job at hand.
You have to dial in just because the turnaround's so quick. You get in here on Monday and it's straight to the next opponent. So we were totally focused on, the Jets, and, it's almost like when you come out on the good side of things and you go down Thursday night and you get a big win, we look forward to celebrating both. Then you can kind of kick back and, celebrate both. But when you have 2 games in 5 days, we really have to lock in, and the main thing is getting your body back healthy and, making sure that everything is up to par to be able to go out there and play healthy and up to, our standard. And so, that's the big thing about Thursday night games.
I know when you guys got the ball back with 1:13 left to play, everyone in the stands felt completely comfortable that you were going to move the ball down the field. Did you guys, and have you ever been a part of an offense that is in this sort of cohesive state where you can pretty much get what you want?
Yeah, we never blink, when we're in those situations. And we've been in so many of these situations, that so far this season that, when they arise now later in the season, we're like, we've been here, we've done this before, we're going to make it happen. I know for me, after the fumble, I came to the sideline, I was like, hey, we got 3 timeouts left. We're going to go down and we're going to kick a field goal. This thing's going to go to overtime. There's not a doubt in my mind. There wasn't a doubt in anybody's mind that we weren't going to go do that. So once the defense got us the ball back and we knew we had a chance to go do it, everybody knew we had been here, plenty of times so far this season. And, there's just the ultimate level of trust and confidence in one another.
In talking to people about you guys and the offense in particular, the word unselfish keeps coming back up to the conversation. And that's why a lot of people think you're having such success. You don't care where the ball goes. You just want it going.
100%. We just want to win. And so if one guy has to get the ball 10 times, 15 times, however many times, and it's working, we're moving the ball, and we're scoring points, that's all we care about at the end of the day. And, that's how you get to, the goals that you want to achieve and get to the postseason is you have everybody contribute. You can't have one guy carry you to where you want to go. That's why this is the ultimate team sport.
I don't want to take it for granted, but it's rare that you have that sort of, camaraderie, teamwork in such a short order, right? I mean, you guys haven't even been together a year yet.
Yeah. I think it starts with just the relationships that have been built off the field and, outside of the building, just really get to know each other as people and as humans and getting to know one another and really be able to learn how to love and trust one another. And when you have that, it's much easier when you come in, to the building, and even on Sundays when times of adversity hit, you have trust, in your brother next to you that, you're going to be able to get it done.
So you've done this whole short week thing before. From your perspective, what does it take to be ready to play in just 3.5 days?
I think, number one is, getting your body back healthy and making sure that, you're ready to go out there and play. And number two, it's all mental. You're trying to cram in a week worth of, preparation into 2 days turn around, go fly, and get ready to play. So, for us, it's just a little extra time in meetings, a little extra time at home, looking at film and, trying to get your body back right.
And I know that you're seeing the people that are surprised about how Trevor has exploded in the last 5 weeks. What do you say to the people when you get on a national interview that ask you about Trevor Lawrence?
He's always been this guy. I'm sure I'm one of many people that can say that in this locker room. He's always been that guy. And, it just takes a little boost of confidence and for something to click and, the floodgates kind of open and the rest is history. So, he's seeing the field, really well right now. He's confident and, he's playing fast and he's doing a great job leading us. So, we're all happy with how he's playing.
Christian Kirk, this week's player feature presented by Baptist Health and the Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute, the official sports medicine provider of the Jaguars. We're already halfway through the first hour of the Publix Tailgate Show, flying by here on a night with a lot of anticipation for kickoff at 8:15 in prime time from New York City. We are all anxious about this one, but we've got a lot ahead here in this last half hour of the first hour of 3 hours of pregame. And coming up,
that was to me the thrill of the win last Sunday, was that they got what they deserved. They've been working their tails off, never giving in, never thinking about anything but trying to get a little bit better.
That is veteran defensive coach, and I mean veteran, Bob Sutton. Shared his thoughts about the game tonight and about the Jaguars' defense and the progress and the fun that they're having on the practice field. All that and more straight ahead, including First Rounds on Us, which is just a little more than 15 minutes away. This is Publix Tailgate Show Hour 1 on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help with Publix Delivery powered by Instacart.
That was to me the thrill
You'll
of
get the
the
items
win.
you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
We've spent a lot of time in our homes.
I'm on a Zoom call.
Dinner's ready.
But we've learned that when we love our home, it loves us right back. Now you can keep that love going when you install energy-efficient natural gas appliances and earn up to $1,925 in cash rebates. You'll love endless hot water, faster drying and cooking times, and ongoing savings and comfort. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softy.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Jaguars Game Day Radio is presented every game day, Sunday, Thursday, and otherwise, by our friends at ViStar, who remind you to do good and bank better. And it's time now, in hour number one of the Publix Tailgate Show, for commentary from Rick Ballou.
Pro Bowl was announced late on Wednesday night. The Jaguars and the Bears will not be represented. Maybe a little extra fuel for tonight's game? Perhaps. The Pro Bowls are going to come, certainly with more wins. The one issue I have, though, Trevor Lawrence. You look at the young quarterbacks in the NFL, and yeah, I'm actually going to consider Patrick Mahomes above a young quarterback. Certainly, he's going to be in the AFC year after year as a Pro Bowler. You have one NFC quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Then you have 5 younger in the AFC. Burrow, Allen, Tua, Herbert, and Trevor Lawrence, who didn't get elected, but I think he wins his 3rd straight game tonight.
Mike, your sensibilities offended at all by the fact that the Jaguars were excluded from the Pro Bowl games? And I say that with air quotes because...
Right, well, there is no game anymore.
Right.
It's like a week of skill competitions. Mine are not necessarily offended, but I hope theirs are.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think it matters to players, the recognition that comes with it. So tonight, they'll know that Sauce Gardner got elected to the Pro Bowl. And if somebody scores a touchdown on him, which, by the way, is not an easy task. He has played to a Pro Bowl level. I think the Jags will maybe let him know a little bit about it. I do think those players do internalize that kind of thing. There are probably, Tyson Campbell, certainly, Foye Oluokun, and maybe one or two others that deserved at least consideration. Sure. Especially when you look like Xavier Howard's not having the best season for the Miami Dolphins. I thought Tyson could have been an easy fit
It's funny, I can go on with the comparisons of this team and the 96 team. Mm-hmm. I mean, ad nauseum, Mike. But that year, people were upset because only one Jaguar went, and the Jaguars were so good the second half of the season, and it was Keenan McCardell, who had a Pro Bowl caliber year. And after that, here comes Tony, here comes Jimmy, here comes Mark Brunell. They all start to come as people get a chance to see you, and that's the key. All right, talking about the Jaguars defense this week with Bob Sutton, who goes all the way back to the early days with Tom Coughlin at Syracuse when they were both assistants on the staff in the early 1970s. He has seen it all, from being a defensive coordinator in this league to being the head coach at Army at one point in his career, and he is working with Mike Caldwell to put this scheme together. And we talked a little bit tonight about tonight's game and some of the important things that they're focused on, including equipment.
Well, I think you just try to, like most games, you try to stay focused on the task at hand, whatever your job is. That's where you want to be. You never want anything to distract you, whether it be weather, opponent, fans, whatever. And I think these guys are used to that. I don't think that'll be that big a thing. Obviously, from a defensive perspective, you want to have the right shoes, because you got to make sure you can stay on your feet. And then the second part is it does give you an opportunity in the takeaway department sometimes. The ball can be more available to you.
That's been the key the last couple of weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. The players have done a really good job of taking the ball away, and a lot of the takeaways come down to me taking advantage of the opportunities when it shows up. It's not always just creating new ones; it's taking advantage, and our guys have done a really good job of that. And that gets into like we say, numbers always favor us. So the more people we have around the ball, whether it's a ball carrier running with the ball or a throw down the field, the more people we have close, the better the opportunities are going to be for us.
It seems like this defense takes a little bit of time to settle in, and in the second half has created a lot of those turnovers. How do you get this team playing at a higher level earlier in the game, Coach?
I don't know if there's a real great answer for that. I think the positive side of that is I think we're very confident. We stay on course. We don't go into any deep panic, when things are going bad early in the game. And that's hard, especially on the road like we've done a couple times. So obviously we'd love to start a little quicker and see if we can run with the lead, and did that. We've done that at, obviously the Colts early in the season and then the Chargers as well. So we've been on both sides of that.
Let me get a little perspective from you. You've been around this game a long time. How many games have you seen like the one that Rayshon Jenkins played last week against Dallas? 18 tackles, which says he's near the line of scrimmage, and yet 2 interceptions in the game winner.
That was a fantastic effort by him. I mean, to be involved in that many plays, especially as a DB, That's a lot of tackles. Those are like linebacker numbers on a really, really good day. So I think he did a great job, and obviously the ability to make those other plays when they showed. And, that's what we're really talking about.
I want to ask you about some of the young guys, but first, Mike Caldwell's in his first year as the defensive coordinator, and I know you're working with him to get him up to speed. How's he doing?
Well, I think Mike's done a great job, and I think one of the most important things is, especially when we were struggling in the middle, is you never want to lose your team. And I think Mike's got got a great relationship with the players. He's got a perfect approach. He's level, he's even keel, very honest with them where they're at, but always gives them that little bit of hope that, hey, look, if we can get this fix and this fix, we can go do what we want to do. So I think Mike's done a great job.
Two guys I want to get perspective from you on. First is on the back end, Tyson Campbell, and the way that he's played this year. I keep hearing from all the players in the locker room, watch this guy.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite guys because he practices exactly the way he plays. In practice, he does not like a guy to catch a ball on him. He's going to finish that play all the way to the end, and I think there's been multiple times that's happened in practice that week, and then on Sunday, he's made the same kind of play and fought the guy all the way to the ground and got the ball out. So I think he's got a great future. He's a well-rounded player. He's not just a cover guy. He'll come up and tackle. He can play in space, and I think he's got a great future.
Guys that do what I do for a living and folks who sit in these stands, they look at the numbers and they say, well, what's Trayvon Walker done this year? Can you give us a little perspective on just what he is capable of doing?
Trayvon is, I think it was unnoticed in a lot of ways. He does a lot of what we would call the dirty jobs, in there. And sometimes when you get an elite rusher like they are, like Trayvon's considered to be, they don't like to really get dirty in there, but he does a great job. I mean, if you really take that film and study him and watch the way he plays with great effort. He's very strong physically, and he's got a great toughness to him, but he will come off, dive off blocks to make tackles, and he's going to be fine as a rusher. He's never rushed on the outside. He's been an inside rusher in his collegiate career, and I think he's another guy that's just got a great future.
Got a perspective on Zach Wilson?
Well, we've seen him, he's a very talented guy. This guy can go do things that make it really difficult. He can extend plays, get out of the pocket. He obviously has arm strength, even the last play he made in that game last week, to get him the field goal opportunities, scrambling to the right, throwing the ball all the way back across the field. And that's not easy to do. So I think he's like anybody, that's playing that position. He's trying to learn all the things they want. He's been out with injuries. That's probably slowed him a little bit, but he's a dangerous guy in our mind.
Final thought. Winning is always fun in this league, obviously. How about the way that this season's unfolded? Fast start, lull in the middle, all of a sudden, right in the middle of it, going to New York for a Thursday night game. I mean, this is fun.
Yeah, I think so, and I think to have so much still available to us, I know from a league standpoint they got to be excited. So many teams are in that position. But I think it says a lot about Doug with the great job he's done keeping our team focused, keeping our team on track, keeping them believing what we could do. And, like you say, we have 4 or 5 weeks where you don't win. It can go south on you pretty quick and that. But these guys have done a great job. That was, to me, the thrill of the win last Sunday, was that they got what they deserved. They've been working their tails off, never giving in, never thinking about anything but trying to get a little bit better. And to see them win a game like that was it was exciting for me. I know that.
And it would be exciting if the Jaguars could get another win this evening in New York, up their record to 7-8, and stay in control of their own destiny when it comes to making the playoffs. Well, Jaguars Game Day Radio is also brought to you by PRI Productions. They are the official event production company of the Jaguars, and they have everything you need to bring your next idea to life. Visit PRIProductions.com. When we come back, we go to the booth in New York at MetLife Stadium for First Rounds on Us. We're back after this on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, Let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Committed to the team. Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. So our policies have no fine print and no military service restrictions. We don't work on commission. We're nonprofit, so we pass the savings along to our members. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org. Navy Mutual, ensuring those who serve.
Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at TIAA Bank Field because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bono's is currently expanding its brand with franchise opportunities throughout the Southeast and beyond. Over 70 years of authentic Southern pit barbecue and owning your own business are a great combo. Go to bonosbarbq.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in D.C., Los Angeles. Watch them win in Philly, Indy, Detroit, Nashville, New York, and Houston. When you fly nonstop from Jax, on airport parking, we'll punt the stress from your travel itinerary. Garage facilities offer defensive coverage from the weather and are a 50-yard dash from the terminal. Economy parking is just $6 a day. To learn more about nonstop flights and on-airport parking, visit flyjax.com.
This holiday season, unwrap a brand new Dreamfinders home. You'll enjoy everything that makes the holidays merry and bright with family and friends in an expertly built, energy-efficient Dreamfinders home. What could be better than calling one of St. Johns County's magnificent communities such as Shearwater, Beacon Lake, or Silverleaf home as 2022 comes to a close and an exciting new year begins. Plus, with an interest rate lock special from Dreamfinders Homes, the timing is perfect to be in a gorgeous move-in ready home. Happy holidays to all from Dreamfinders Homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com.
Hold on. You want me to tell them about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea in just 30 seconds? This is impossible. Hey, I'm Billy from Twisted Tea. How can I explain that first sip of cold, smooth, real brewed tea? So good! And the extra kick you get from just the right amount of alcohol? The twist of lemon, Wait, what? We're almost out of time? Oh, shit. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for the bright yellow cans wherever you buy beer.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Final segment of hour number one of the Publix Tailgate Show, Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And the conclusion of the first hour means the beginning of first rounds on us. It is brought to you every week by our friends at UF Health, delivering compassionate care and world-class outcomes. That's our game plan. We welcome in Tony Baselli and Jeff Lageman from the broadcast booth at MetLife Stadium. Guys, the comparisons, this team, 1996, the way the season unfolds, I mean, I could beat you over the head with them. There are so many similarities between those two seasons. But the one that stands out, the question that I have for you is, this is a young team, that was a young team. Jeff, why don't you start us off? How do you coach the young players to handle the situation? Primetime, Christmas week, playoffs on the line, weather is obviously a factor. How do you deal with that challenge with a young team?
Well, I think first and foremost, you got to get them to move on from the celebration that you had against Dallas, and I think Doug Pederson has done that. You know, you got a short week, and I think sometimes short weeks kind of can do that because you don't have time to reflect a whole lot. You've got to look ahead. So I think that the scheduling part of that really lays out perfectly, Tony.
Yeah, but yes, it does. I agree 100%, Jeff. I always think it's less about the coach and it's more about the veteran leaders in the locker room. If I think back to 96, I mean, Tom was Tom. I mean, you didn't have a choice but to move on. He wouldn't let you enjoy anything. And that was his style. Doug's different.
Now, that's not very nice.
No, I love Tom. He's a Hall of Fame head coach. I mean, he had a style though. It was grind. Don't get soft. Don't get comfortable. We got another game coming. Doug will do it. Send the same message, but in a different way. Because his personality is different. But back to my point. To me, if I think back to '96, it was the veterans. And in fact, I remember Clyde Simmons sitting down with me in the locker room as we started kind of putting games together. I remember asking him about, like, hey, we might make the playoffs. And he looked at me and says, don't worry about that. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter unless we win this week. And it won't matter unless we win the next week. And so I think it's yes on the coach, Brian, but I think it's the veterans who have been in this league for a while, understand what it takes, have had a taste of the playoffs.
Well, and here's the other thing, too, is that what happened in Detroit, okay, I think is a good thing for this situation, right?
Because, it reminds you.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds you that, look, so what, now what? Which is the mantra that Doug has talked about earlier in the year, and he was using it after victories, and that applies probably now more than ever because this football team controls its own destiny. If you win out, you end up going to the playoffs, and you're the AFC South champions, but to win out, you got to win one, and that's tonight.
All right, guys, let's get to some of the on-the-field matchups tonight that we're excited about. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence playing as well as any quarterback in the league over the last month and a half, but the Jets have a pretty imposing pair of corners in Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed. Gardner was the leading vote-getter among cornerbacks in the AFC for the Pro Bowl this year. So how much do you anticipate the Jags passing game going directly at those guys tonight?
Well, and let me add one more defender to that. Two corners that you talked about, Michael Carter II, he's the nickel back. I mean, he's a highly rated defensive back as well. So it's going to be a big challenge for Trevor Lawrence. And three wide receivers, you got to have three good defensive backs, and the Jets have that. I think the one thing that gives me hope, and me and Tony were talking about this on the way over, is that Robert Saleh plays that Gus Bradley style of defense where it plays a lot more zone than you would expect. And there's going to be some openings in that zone. And if Trevor Lawrence can be on point, get rid of the ball quickly, maybe we can see some of the similarities that we saw the shutout game against the Indianapolis Colts early in the season. I'm not saying from the standpoint of getting a shutout, but just from having that quick attack offense with Trevor Lawrence getting the ball out of his hands.
And I think, Jeff, what you're saying, it's going to take patience tonight. This is a really good defense. Number 2 scoring defense, number 3 overall in yardage. I mean, they're good. So what you need to do is you need to stick to the run game. You need a nice night from Travis Etienne. And then to Jeff's point, there's going to be some stuff in that 3 to 7 yard range where you just kind of take the check down, take what it gives, and then pick your spots of taking deep shots and those overs and deep crossers and everything else. But I think this is going to be about being patient for Trevor Lawrence tonight and taking what the defense gives him.
Yeah, and I think a great opportunity for an Evan Ingram.
I think he has a big night. I think he needs to have a big night tonight.
Yeah, because, we've seen the Jets, this past game especially against Detroit, they let the tight end impact it. And so there's going to be some opportunities. And so Evan Ingram, Dan Arnold, Chris Manhertz, although he doesn't catch a ton of balls, maybe he ends up getting one more tonight, guys. He'd get a career high.
Be all right. Hopefully it's in the end zone. What about ball security? The last time it rained steadily throughout for a Jaguar game was up in Philadelphia. At least it did in the second half of that game, and the Jags turned it over a bunch. Is that a major concern for you tonight, or do you think they've learned their lessons?
No, I think it's a big concern. Look, Etienne's put the ball on the carpet again, and so look, the Jets players are going to be aware of that. But I'm staring at the radar nearly all day. And today on the way over, it kind of stopped raining. Now looking out here, it's kind of like a light, misty rain. Radar looks broken up. So, Mike, Brian, got fingers crossed, that the weather's good for tonight's game.
If it stays like this right as we're sitting here looking at the field in the booth, it'll be no issue. I mean, it is not wet enough to be an issue at all. Now, who knows what happens, to your point, Mike. In the second half is when it really opened up in Philly and got really nasty. So, we're at the mercy of the weather a little bit. I'm glad I got my weatherman next to me, Jeff Loggeman, who will give me updates every 2 seconds. But right now, the way the weather is, it should be a great night football. The other thing to consider, it's supposed to get some gusts of wind, which is normal here in the Meadowlands, but that could also be a factor.
Yeah, and if the wind is gusty, the one thing that me and Tony were also talking about on the way here on the bus, the big concern that we have is Zach Wilson creating plays with his legs and then taking shots downfield. Because to be perfectly honest with you guys, I don't think he's very good when he's in the pocket. He's not accurate. I mean, he's got arm talent, but right now he doesn't know what zip code it's going to. And if the winds get a little bit gusty with an inaccurate quarterback, I mean, holy cow, advantage Trevor Lawrence, right?
Oh, let's hope so, right? I mean, certainly he's got the arm strength and accuracy lately to overcome, we hope. We overcame the absence of Trayvon Walker last week. DeJuan Smoot was Pro Football Focus's highest-graded Jaguar coming out of that game. But now you add Foley Fatukasi to the mix, missing from the front seven. How big of a deal is this?
Well, I mean, I think it's a big deal. I mean, you don't have a lot of big men on this team. We talked to that, Jeff, remember, all the way back in training camp of how, you were really counting on Fatukasi and Roy Robinson-Harris and Hamilton to be those guys because behind it, Gotsis is a good player, but he's not a real big man. Then you have to use Smoot more down inside. You'd like to keep him, inside on nickel, but outside in first and second down. So I think it makes them thin, Mike. And if you have weather tonight, you got to expect that just like the Jags, Robert Saleh and that offense is going to try to get the run game going. I think they're going to try to get the run game going no matter what because of what Jeff said about Zach Wilson. This is a different team. I'm very happy, let me put it this way, that Mike White is not playing tonight because they're a much more effective offense when he is underneath center.
I'm going to go a little bit on the opposite when it comes to Fatukasi, okay? He hasn't been playing that well.
All right.
Okay, and Gotsis has been more productive. He just hasn't had the opportunity.
So you think it's a plus?
I wouldn't say it's a plus. It might be a slight plus, but it's definitely not a negative. And I think the same goes a little bit for Trayvon Walker. I mean, he's still learning to be impactful as a pass rusher. Now, they miss his strength and his tackling ability and his stoutness against the run. But do you miss his pass rush? I mean, he really was like the 6th-ranked effective pass rusher for the Jaguars of all the guys up front. So, look, I think Arden Key and Smoot can handle that just fine. I think Gotsis can handle it just fine as well.
Well, to Jeff's point, guys, about Trayvon Walker, and obviously you want your first overall pick up if possible. But if you look at the tape last week against Dallas with Arden Key getting more reps, he actually got better. And he played better with more reps, and he's right now a better pass rusher than Trayvon Walker.
All right, fellas, thanks so much. We've got a lot more time leading up to kickoff, but it'll be here before you know it. Have a great broadcast, fellas.
Thank you, boys.
See you guys.
And that'll do it for hour number 1. And me, JP Shadrick, steps in here for the next 2 hours and 15 minutes leading up to kickoff. Mike and everyone, Donna and Tony and Linda, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays to all of you.
It's been great working with you.
It's been awesome, and I'm looking forward to at least 3 more games.
Absolutely.
At least
3 more.
At least 3 more games. All right, JP Shadrick slides in here and takes you home to kickoff, and obviously he's here for the post game as well. Merry Christmas to all of you. Enjoy the game this evening, and that's it for hour number 1 here on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Brooks Rehabilitation has more than 50 years of experience serving the North Florida community with cutting-edge rehabilitation care, ranging from joint replacements, sports injuries, and balance issues, to traumatic brain injuries, spinal cord injuries, and strokes. Their highly trained clinical teams span across their system of care to include inpatient, outpatient, skilled nursing, assisted living and memory care, home health, and adaptive community programs. Learn more at brooksrehab.org. Brooks is proud to be the rehabilitation provider for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
When it comes to water, choose our team, the winning team. Choose CGC Water Treatment. CGC Water Treatment works, and it works for DG too, former Jags QB, David Garrard.
If you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Discover the Kinetico difference.
Call CGC Water Treatment at 844-CGC-JAGS or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment are proud partners of the Jacksonville Jaguars and your local independent Kinetico dealers.
Jags fans, this is Shaquille Griffin. I'm going to share some of my secrets for competing in the NFL. First, the field is no place for hunger. Growing up, I got big and strong eating boiled peanuts. Today, our team is serious about fueling our bodies, and that means popping open some protein-packed peanuts from Luray's Peanuts. It's the same boiled peanut flavor I used to love eating as a kid, but with superfood nutrition that lets me tear it up on the field. Pick Luray's boiled peanuts at all Jaguar home games, or pick up a few bags at the grocery store and fuel up at home.
Veterans, you may have earned a variety of VA benefits. Did you know VA can help you further your education and pursue professional training? The Home Loan Guarantee Program can help you buy, repair, or adapt a home. VA provides housing support if you find yourself homeless or at risk of homelessness. And don't forget world-class health care. Learn more about these and other VA benefits. Visit choose.va.gov.
The Publix Tailgate Show continues right now.
It's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. 2 hours away from Thursday Night Football in Week 16. The Jacksonville Jaguars at 6-8. The New York Jets at 7-7. Two teams with little room for error as they look for a postseason berth. Kickoff at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey at 8:15. On the dot today, JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Jaguars Radio Network studio at TIAA Bank Field. Yeah, both teams need it, and I'm not sure, at least nationally, how many people circled this game on Thursday Night Football as one that stood out at the start of the season. As it's gone along, both teams certainly in the mix in late December.
All right, let's be honest. Probably people looked at it if they bothered to look ahead at the schedule and said, who cares? We'll be busy. It's Christmas week. What difference does it make? I mean, honestly, there have been so many bad Thursday and Monday night games in primetime this year, JP. I'm on the air during Monday and Thursday Night Football on Sirius XM, and there have been some real stinkers, but this one is stakes. I mean, there are stakes. This is a big game, not only for the Jaguars to keep pace with Tennessee and the AFC South, but the Jets to stay alive in the wild card race. And I saw somebody tweeting out earlier today, Bengals fan, if the Jags win, it clinches a playoff spot for Cincinnati, and they said, go Jacksonville. My thought was, be careful what you wish for. Yeah. You may see us down the road.
Right. Not a team you want on your schedule or postseason schedule right
I don't
now.
think anybody wants them on the schedule right now, quite frankly.
They are playing well for sure. We've got plenty to get to ahead of the 8:15 kickoff time tonight. Here are some of tonight's top stories, starting with Trevor Lawrence. 4 touchdown passes last week and now 14 touchdowns with only 1 interception after the Week 8 game against the Broncos in London. Lawrence this week on what changed for him.
I think the more you play, the better you get, the more you refine your skills at like film watching and preparing for an opponent and what you look for. So I think that naturally happens. The longer you play, the more you experience different things. But it's gotten better probably in that sense, but not necessarily the amount of time or what I watch hasn't changed a ton. My mindset has shifted a lot, and I'd say, I think I have a lot of confidence back, and I was able to bring myself back to reality and kind of flush everything that's happened, use it. Obviously you learn from all that stuff, but really to not allow one play or a few plays or weeks prior to affect the next week. I think that's been the thing I've been able to really grow and get better at.
And part of that, too, it comes with the success of it as well. Yeah, he may have thrown 3 touchdowns in a game and won, but you got to go on to the next game as well. You can't lean on the full success of the week before, certainly not some of the mistakes of the past. I think it's kind of evened out. That's just maturing as a football player and as a quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate topic of discussion because the head coach brought it up and talked about how he matured in like 2 weeks' time from that game. But I think if Trevor Lawrence continues the pace that he's playing at right now, by the end of the regular season, JP, I think we'll have beaten that into the ground, and now we'll have realized Trevor Lawrence has fully arrived. And look, when I say fully arrived, at a higher level than he had been at, with more levels to go. We're not seeing the best Trevor Lawrence is ever going to be. That's the beautiful thing about this. I fully believe that. You're going to see even better games than he's had to this point, and you're going to see them more consistently as well.
Well, the wide receivers around him are all in on the quarterback as well. Zay Jones had 3 touchdown receptions last week in the overtime win against the Cowboys, and he's all in on the quarterback, of course.
I don't view the mistakes the same way others may. I judge a man by how he comes to work every day and the things that he's able to do for his team, whether he's battling through injury, whether he's going through something at home, whether he had a poor game last game, or whether he was written off last year. That's kind of how I view who a man is, and Trevor Lawrence has proved to me, if not anyone, that he's here and he's here to stay.
Here to stay, that's for sure. That's what everybody likes to hear in Jacksonville, of course. Now to the other side of the football tonight for the New York Jets. And cornerback Sauce Gardner has made an immediate impact in his rookie season. He's part of a fantastic Jets defensive group, and he leads the NFL in passes defense coming into this game. Jags offensive coordinator Press Taylor.
He's a good young player. You know, he's got a lot of length. He kind of looks like the old Seattle corners, the Richard Sherman. The guys are just long and lanky and able to make plays on the ball, playing with a ton of confidence. You know, I think last week they didn't really go after him much at all, didn't really test him, which I understand. You can see that watching the tape. He's really made an impact early on in his career there, so he's a good player. He was drafted high. There was a lot of high opinions of him coming in, and he's lived up to that expectation, in my opinion.
Yeah, both corners have had really good seasons. They're good up front. They're a top 5 defense for a reason. Good group.
Yeah, Sauce Gardner's on a higher level than DJ Reed here. DJ Reed's a nice player. Sauce Gardner is a guy that makes you play 10 on 10. And what that does is allows you to double team elsewhere. I mean, it is such a luxury at this level of football with the rules tilted towards the offense to have a guy that can lock down basically anybody you throw at him, you know, and Detroit literally did not test him once last week. It's a pass-happy team. They've got a wide array of wide receivers. We saw it on display just a few weeks ago. They didn't throw his way a single time last week, and it paid off. They won the game, but that's the kind of respect he's already earning around the National Football League.
On the Jaguars' defensive side last week, of course, a career game for safety Rayshawn Jenkins, 18 tackles, 2 interceptions, the game winner in overtime as well, and he's the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. And defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell on what Rayshawn brings to the Jaguars' defensive group.
He's a guy that he kind of brings a toughness to the secondary. He's a guy that's physical, he's in the box, and he makes plays. But the thing about him, he loves to play the game. You see him out there, he's always has this energetic look on his face. He's always ready to go, and, you know, he just brings excitement to the team. I think we already talk about enthusiasm. You know, you have to have effort is a given. You know, effort is a given, but that enthusiasm, it takes it to another level, and guys feed off of it. You know, defense makes a play, offense gets going. Offense makes a play, defense gets going. Special teams does it for everybody. So it's just the energy you get from being in a team atmosphere that's great.
Yeah, and Jenkins a big hand in that, of course. Last week it was all sides of the ball really contributing to that comeback win a week ago.
Historical game for Rayshawn Jenkins with 18 tackles, 2 interceptions. No one's ever hit both of those benchmarks in the same game. Let's be honest, JP. Rayshawn Jenkins was a guy a lot of Jaguar fans looked at like, well, we can't get out of his contract this year, but wait until next offseason. That's where we're going to save some salary cap space. To now, well, we darn well better make sure that Rayshawn Jenkins is coming back to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He has picked it up in a big way in his second season with the team.
Quick turnaround for the Jaguars, of course, and the Jets. Thursday Night Football. Josh Allen on the team's approach this week.
We got to start from scratch all over again. You know, when they say when you lose, you got to have short-term memory, it's even like that when you win. You know, this is a feeling that we want to get used to. So it's how quick can we prepare, especially now and Coach Pederson's preached before the Titans game. We have 3 games in 15 days, so the sense of urgency has to pick up, and this is just the 3rd game of that stretch. And we know that, and we're preparing as well. That's why I said I see a lot of guys in here early, getting their bodies back right because of the sense of urgency that we put on ourselves. Quick turnaround. We can get through, watch this film, get through it, get the corrections, and then move on to the Jets.
Tyson Campbell, Jaguars corner, had a similar thought about the short week.
If you're hurting, you got any nicks and bruises, you got to try your best to recover as much as possible. And then mentally, you just got to lock in even more than you would on a regular full week. So, I would say both. And I feel like so far everyone's doing a pretty good job of that. Everyone's staying extra, getting treatment. We're doing a lot of meeting and walkthroughs, so last week is last week. You know, it was fun and we enjoyed it, but, you know, we got a good football team trying to beat us on Thursday, so we got a lot back in.
All right, so for head coach Doug Pederson, the challenge this week is to get everybody right again physically and ready to go, and then put away the Dallas game, all focus this week on the Jets and really kind of narrowing it down to what the Jaguars do the best and maybe not shortening the playbook so much, but rely on what you do well in a short week like this.
Yeah, as Tony Baselli and Jeff Logman were talking about at the end of the last hour, JP, they've been through this with Detroit, and they saw what happens when you're not mentally and physically ready to go in this game. Look, the Jets have the short week as well. I actually think with the experience against Detroit and the fact that you're going on the road, it's Christmas week, right? You're not home around the family worrying about what's going on this weekend. This is a business trip for them. I'm hoping that results in them being able to be a little bit more focused and take advantage of the Jets tonight.
Uncle Tommy's not in town in the living room.
Right. And if he is, he's not your concern. He's back home in Jacksonville.
That's right. They can handle it. You can worry about it tomorrow when you get back home. And, of course, now the Jaguars control their own destiny for the AFC South Championship. And Christian Kirk, Jags wide receiver, focused, of course, on one game at a time.
Every week is a new week, and it's 1 week at a time, and I always say it's a big game because it's the next one, especially now. Every week gets bigger and bigger when you start winning games late in the season. For us, we're still, in the position to control our own destiny, and, we want to keep it that way. And so, we're definitely just focused on Thursday. We know we have a great team that we're about to play, a great defense that we're going to face offensively. So, we're doing everything in our power to make sure that, we go out there on Thursday and put the type of football that we know we can play out there.
So if, of course, the Jaguars win tonight and then the Titans lose on Saturday, that would guarantee that Week 18 has meaning here at the bank against the Titans head-to-head.
Correct, but take care of business tonight. And otherwise, all these scenarios are out of your hands a little bit. And what a great gift that is to Jaguar fandom if they're able to win tonight. You sit back and see if you can clinch a home game, basically a playoff game.
It is.
In Week 18 is what it would amount to. Phenomenal that the team that lost 5 in a row in the middle of the season finds himself in this position.
Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by 5-Star Credit Union. Do good, bank better, and we visit with pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor each week. And this week I asked him about the defensive performance a week ago to keep the game close enough to allow the Jaguars offense to rally against the Cowboys.
I did First Take Monday morning on ESPN with Ryan Clark, Mike Irvin, and Stephen A. And look, they were trying to there was a Dak Prescott segment, right? And they totally wanted, well, they didn't want to, but the segment was about Dak and what Dak did wrong. I wanted to highlight what Jacksonville did right. They didn't quit. They were down 17. They could have went and tucked their tails, but there was a situation where the pick happened. They came out, they got a 3-and-out, and then after they got the 3-and-out, Jacksonville got the ball to throw the deep ball down there 2 plays later to Zay. He scores. The defense goes back up. 2 plays later, they get the interception. Then 3 plays after that, you score on a 3rd and 10 to Marvin Jones, and then everything else unfolds accordingly, as you mentioned. But the defense stepped up and made plays when they needed to. They could have easily laid down and not have made any of those plays, and we would have been, saying the same thing that we say, after the game on the radio show or Monday or Twitter. Everybody would have been heartbroken. But those guys deserve a ton of credit, led by, obviously, Rayshawn, who played a tremendous game, one of the best efforts probably ever in the history of the NFL with his performance. And everybody that stepped up. There's a few guys banged up. Trayvon was out. You had guys Smooth and Key going in, making plays. And it just shows a sign of these guys have been in the meeting room, been paying attention, studying properly, waiting for their opportunity, getting out there, seizing the moment, taking advantage of the opportunity. They came away with the win. And they're going to need to display that same sort of effort tonight.
Fred, final thought, 3 games to go. Jags are 1 down in the division, but even with that, they control their own destiny right now. So if they win out and, of course, beat Tennessee, they would finish tied in the division. They would have the tiebreaker at that point. The destiny talk, I think it's a little early for that. They still have to go win some more football games, but there is something about the ball bouncing the right way for you when it didn't early in the year, right? Sometimes the football gods even things out, and maybe this is the Jaguars' time in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, they have an opportunity to control what they can control. It's funny that you say that. Now I was thinking to myself, there's so much that goes on in life that we can absolutely not control. It's so much, but there are a few things that we can. And even in the game of, football or basketball, the ball doesn't always bounce your way. But, when you go out there are certain things, certain aspects of the game that you can't control. And that's how hard you play, how you respond to things, the critical errors that happen throughout the course of the game, how you respond to those and bounce back. And I think this team has shown that even in spite of, those circumstances, they're willing to fight to the very end. And they've been scrappy that way the entire season. They just got to do it 3 more times, in this regular season, starting tonight. And whatever happens at the end of the day, man, at least they can go out with their heads held high saying, we fought our asses off regardless of the outcome. But we did fight our butts off, and we're ready for any moment going forward.
That's Pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor, and the full conversation available now on the official Jaguars Podcast Network, or visit jaguars.com and click the podcast link at the top of the homepage. We're a little bit away from inactives tonight. It's an 8:15 kickoff. Up next, though, we'll go around the NFL, and we'll visit with Amazon Prime Video analyst Andrew Whitworth, former tackle with the Bengals and the Rams, of course, recently retired after last season, and immediately onto television or streaming. I guess this would be the streaming part of it on Amazon Prime tonight. It's an 8:15 kickoff in Week 16. The Jags and the Jets coming up, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
The Land Rover Defender story began with the simple thought of creating an exceptionally capable off-road vehicle, becoming the go-anywhere, do-anything all-terrain machine. Today, there's a new Land Rover Defender, the toughest and most advanced Land Rover vehicle ever. From the beginning, Land Rover knew the new Defender was capable of great things. Motor Trend's 2021 SUV of the Year is just the latest example. Test drive the new Land Rover Defender today at Land Rover Jacksonville on Atlantic Boulevard, or go to LandRoverJacksonville.com. Land Rover, above and beyond.
When you show your home love with a natural gas water heater, it loves you right back with more cost-efficient, endless hot water.
Hon, hurry it up, please.
And right now, you'll love earning a cash rebate up to $700 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas water heater.
We're going to be late. Again.
What? Did you say something, hon?
To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Are you suffering from shoulder pain? If you have clicking and popping in the shoulder joint, persistent pain that intensifies with use, an inability to lift your arm over your head, or a tingling, burning sensation in the shoulder, elbow, or wrist, waiting to see a doctor could make your injury worse. Baptist Health and Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute have innovative and effective treatment options available right now to relieve your pain and restore your mobility. Don't wait. Call 904-JOI-2000.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading organizations across the country to deliver workforce solutions. As a proud sponsor of your Jacksonville Jaguars, CSI crafts personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has over 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your Workforce Solutions Reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
If the last couple years have taught us anything, it's to show the ones we love how much we care. That's why Pet Paradise calls you by name from the moment you arrive. Why our pack leaders know each and every friend you like to play with out on the turf. And that you like some snuggles before you fall asleep. The more we see and get to know you, the more you'll see how much you mean to us. Pet Paradise. It's a new day in pet care.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. We're about 2 hours away from Thursday Night Football in Week 16. The Jacksonville Jaguars 6-8, the New York Jets 7-7, an 8:15 kickoff time at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, in the Meadowlands. Let's look around the NFL as we begin Week 16.
Well, let's start right here in Jacksonville with congratulations going out to Jaguars safety Rayshon Jenkins yesterday being named AFC Defensive Player of the Week as he becomes the first player in NFL history to record 18 or more tackles and 2 interceptions in the same game, as his pick six in overtime helped propel Jacksonville to a 40-34 comeback win over the Dallas Cowboys. So that gets us started here. And look, the Pro Bowl up next, even though the game has been eliminated in favor of a week-long quote, celebration of players' skills, end quote. The NFL still announced the 2022 Pro Bowl teams yesterday, and despite several strong candidates, the Jaguars, one of 2 teams along with the Bears, did not have a single player named to the squads. Their opponent, the New York Jets, however, had 4 players who were deemed Pro Bowl worthy, led by defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, who has been exceptional this year with 11 sacks. Other Jets named to the squad were linebacker C.J. Mosley, rookie corner Sauce Gardner, and special teamer Justin Hardy. The Philadelphia Eagles led the way with 8 Pro Bowlers, including 6 would-be starters, but one of Philly's Pro Bowlers, quarterback Jalen Hurts, will reportedly miss this week's matchup with NFC East rival Dallas due to a sprained shoulder, opening the door for former Jaguars quarterback Gardner Minshew to get the call, as Philly can clinch home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs with a victory over the Cowboys. Recent events have compelled BetMGM to install the Jaguars as the betting favorites to win the AFC South. The Jaguars odds better than Tennessee's for the first time this year, and while the Colts are still mathematically alive as well, most scenarios have the Jaguars hosting a win and you're in de facto playoff game against the Titans in Week 18. Let's hope it comes to that from Jacksonville's perspective. Elsewhere, Washington drafted pass rusher Chase Young with the 2nd overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, but had been without his services all season long after he tore his ACL and a patella tendon last November 14th. Young, who was the 2020 Defensive Rookie of the Year, is expected to make his 2022 debut in a limited capacity when the Commanders travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers this weekend. And finally, a couple of sad notes this week as Pittsburgh legend Franco Harris and former Denver running back Ronnie Hillman both passed away. The 72-year-old Harris, who had been enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame for over 3 decades already, died suddenly just days before the 50th anniversary of his infamous immaculate reception in the Steelers' 1972 playoff win over the Raiders, maybe the most famous play in NFL history. Hillman passing away this week at the age of 32 after a battle with cancer. Obviously, anything's way too young. Your early 30s is definitely way too young.
No doubt about that. And there's a look around the NFL. 8 players ruled out already for the Titans?
Bunch of guys, including Ryan Tannehill.
That's right.
Now, the reports were yesterday that Tannehill would be out for the remainder of the regular season, which would mean Malik Willis would start against the Jags in Week 18, the rookie out of Liberty. But, you know, they're saying in Tennessee, hey, we'll give you 1 week's injury report at a time, and Tannehill is out, but they put their center on IR. They're really a beat-up team right now, which has contributed to this losing streak, and I don't feel bad for them one bit, JP. That's the breaks in the NFL, so if they want to come here with 13 guys in Week 18, I'm all for it.
If you're looking for the MVP of the truck game, then look no further than Ford F-150, loaded with impressive capabilities and designed to dominate work, play, and everything in between. This truck makes tough look easy. Your local Ford dealer, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Andrew Whitworth played 16 seasons in the NFL as a tackle for the Bengals and the Rams. He retired after last season's Super Bowl win and is now an analyst for Amazon Prime video coverage of Thursday Night Football. And I asked him this week about the Jaguars-Jets matchup and its rise in importance as the season has gone along.
Man, it's unbelievable. I don't know when we circled this one on the schedule if we thought, hey, Jacksonville Jets is going to be a big-time game that could have big implications on the playoff scenarios. I don't know if this was the one we circled and said that, but you know what? We're here, and it is. And you know what? They both these teams have young quarterbacks that they drafted high, invested a lot of money in. And New York side, it's about the Jets. their defense and the ability they've had this year, and seeing Zach Wilson rise up. And you know what? With those Jaguars, it's Trevor Lawrence, man. The emergence of who he is and what they drafted him to be.
Andrew Whitworth with us from Amazon Prime Video. He'll have analysts work pregame, postgame, around the game for the Jaguars and the Jets. So let's get to the game now. The Jaguars were 2-6 this season, and they had just lost a game in London where Trevor Lawrence threw a couple of key interceptions, certainly the one at the 1-yard line going in on 1st and goal. Since then, it's a totally different team, a totally different feeling quarterback. And when you have the quarterback playing at this level, the belief around him can build. And it feels like the Jaguars have that. Maybe it takes one moment like that in London to really turn things around. Do you believe that was the moment? And then what have you seen out of Trevor the last month and a half?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, you think about football, I don't care what position you're playing. When you come in and have to play early as a young player, as I did, I was a rookie. I started 12 games at left tackle. You know, it's one of those things. At some point, you have this moment where your play's going, you know, you're probably playing well as a rookie, especially higher draft picks that have a lot of talent. Like, you're playing okay, and you're trying to find a way to, like, hey, I want to know where I fit in with the rest of this league and the rest of the O-linemen in my room and that kind of thing. But at some point, you have a moment where you go, oh, man, I got to put my feet in the ground, and this has got to change. And I've got to do this better. And I think with Trevor Lawrence, you always saw the capabilities. Like, hey, man, there was moments last year where you'd see a throw where you're like, wow, that's why he was a top 5 talent. That's why he was a number 1 pick. You saw that throw. Like, that's unbelievable. But you didn't see him do all the little things at quarterback where you're like, man, he's playing the position the best and in the way that you would expect him to play it. And then now you've really seen, like, man, here we are 10 weeks ago. People probably thought, man, I don't see as much as I want to see different from last year. To where he goes to this Denver game, he has this moment, and I'll never forget his quotes about how I never want my team to feel like this again. I never want to feel like this again, that I'm the one putting my team in a position where they're not winning. And he felt that way after that game, and I feel like that was his moment where he put his foot in the ground and he said, you know what? I'm about to find ways that I'm gonna go ahead and just accept it. I'm the quarterback. Our team is going to win and lose based off how I play this position. That is the NFL. Every team's QB faces that. I'm going to accept it. I'm going to put my feet in the ground, and I'm going to make a difference. And I'm going to be the difference of why we win and lose games. And wow, has he been on fire. It's been exceptional to see the confidence, you know, that he has and how special that is in the NFL. I mean, confidence and momentum is a real thing. And he's got it right now, and they are not a team that anybody wants to see.
Cam Robinson is out most likely for the rest of the season with a knee injury, but it's a big opportunity for Walker Little to step in there, and he's a second-round pick. He's got to go prove it now and give Trevor the time to go do his work.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, you look at it, this Jets defense is really good. They like to create some pressure on on the quarterback and get after people, and you're going to have situations the way they do things. They're going to put the quarterback back there with some 4-man rushes to where, you know what, he's going to have to look around a little bit and buy some time to find people who are open and read what they're doing with their different zones they'll play. You know, they'll play some man, they'll play some cover 4, stuff like that. So he's going to need time. So it's going to be a challenge, and they've got some good guys up front. So this could be a big factor. I mean, we saw different teams throughout this season. When you lose some of your critical O-linemen that mean a lot to keeping the quarterback clean or your running game, it matters. So this is going to be a big test, because it's one thing to be a guy who goes and fills in a game. That happens plenty, and guys can get through it. But when you're kind of the guy, and they know all week, hey, we're going to circle, this is the guy playing, let's evaluate his tape and how you beat him. That's a whole different challenge when you're the starter and you're the guy they're circling and saying, let's evaluate this guy and how do we go beat him. So this will be a great game for him to have a chance to be challenged. Short week, though, which plays in his favor as a young player. And hopefully he can go out there and stand the test, because they're going to need it. And you know what? There's nothing better for a quarterback who's on fire than time to throw the football. And if you want to rattle him and get him rattled, it's going to be have to get to him. So you know that the Jets are going to have a lot of emphasis of how many times can we try and hit Trevor Lawrence in this game.
Andrew Whitworth with his final thought. Doug Pederson's leadership for this team, steady day to day. He never changes. I don't know how much you've been around Doug. I think that's a big piece of what this team has done this year. His steady, constant day to day. Nothing changes. We lost a fourth quarter lead. Let's get back to it. We've won a game. Let's get back to it. He's done it at the highest level, and this team's buying in. You can't underestimate what Doug certainly has done here.
Oh, there's no doubt. Look, Doug spent some time in the 318 North Louisiana. I know Doug well. You know what? He's He's a good dude, man, and his personality and how he is. I mean, man, does anybody deserve more credit than him for really how he's settled in with Trevor Lawrence and the job he's done, with the confidence across that building. You hear the different interviews of guys and what they say about him, and they'd run through walls for him and do anything else. So that part right there is special. And, man, he's done an amazing job with this team. And right now what he's done is not just come in and been the coach and got the quarterback to play better, but you can feel that they've got a team that's starting to believe in themselves, and they're starting to believe that big plays are possible, big moments are possible. And I don't think that's the kind of team you want to play late in the year, because late in the year, young rosters, talented rosters that also have confidence and momentum, those are the toughest to beat. And that's why they have been on this roll, and that they're bringing a challenge, and we're able to pull off a win last week against a really good football team. I'm telling you that this team could make some noise unless somebody can find a way to end that confidence and momentum, and Doug Pederson's as big a part of that as anybody.
That's Andrew Whitworth, longtime tackle in the NFL, and went right into the booth, not in the broadcast booth, but the analyst chair, if you will, for Amazon Prime, and doing a great job so far. Knows the game, that's for sure.
Yeah, doesn't even have to wear a suit. They're very casual on the Amazon pregame show, which is fine. I don't care. Enjoy yourself.
Absolutely.
But he's a good guy, seemingly. I don't know, but he sounds like it these days. Sounds like he's a good guy.
He sounds nice.
His reputation is that of a good guy.
No, he's great. Glad he could join us this week, of course. So check him out on Amazon Prime pregame coming up, and check out the official Jaguars podcast network for the full exclusive interview. It's free on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcast. You can find it right there. We're about 15 minutes away from a fantasy forecast. We'll have the inactives at 6:45 tonight, at 8:15 kick, so a 6:45 inactives announcement. Frangie coming up in just a little bit. But up next, we'll go to the booth in New Jersey and join Bucky Brooks and John Ozier for a pregame Huddle Up podcast. The Jags and the Jets coming up on Thursday Night Football, and this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
Since 1916, Duval Motor Company is here to keep you and your vehicle off the sidelines. Their all-star lineup of dealerships provides superior sales, maintenance, and repairs for every make and model, with Ford, Honda, Acura, Subaru, Chevrolet, and everything in between. At every Duval location across North Florida, Duval Motor Company always puts service first. In-store, online, or at your front door. Get service first with DuvalMotorCompany.com.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
You say there's nothing quite like the feel of the open road when you ride a motorcycle. You know it takes concentration, knowledge, and skills beyond those required to drive a car. Ride Smart Florida would like to take this opportunity to remind you to enjoy the road, but to always ride smart. SMART. Say no to drinking and riding. Make yourself more visible to motorists. Always wear your helmet. Ride in control. Train regularly and get endorsed. Visit RideSmartFlorida.com for more details. Do you ride smart? This message is provided by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Storm season is here, and JEA is doing everything possible to prepare. We've invested millions in hardening our electric, water, and sewer systems to make them more resistant to extreme weather. By updating your contact information and signing up for alerts, you'll also be better prepared if a storm hits. And in the event we need to restore your power, we can keep you up to date on our efforts and get you back to normal sooner. Update your contact info today at JEA.com. JEA, building a more prepared community.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Dailies.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the bank in Jacksonville. The Jaguars at 6-8, the Jets at 7-7. Kickoff at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, coming up at 8:15 on Thursday Night Football. Let's go to the Meadowlands and welcome in NFL Network analyst, Jaguars radio field analyst Bucky Brooks, and Jaguars.com senior writer John Oehser. This is a pregame huddle up podcast. Prime time, the lights are on. And a big environment. Both teams in the mix in late December. You can't ask for much more than this on Thursday Night Football, guys. Good evening.
What's going on?
Yeah,
What's happening,
JP? It's a big one. I mean, I was sitting here as I was about to go on thinking, when's the last time I kind of felt like this before a primetime game? And you know what? They didn't have any primetime games in 2017, JP and Mike. So this is,
It's true.
I mean, this is the first time probably since I've been back in 2011, honestly, which doesn't say much for the franchise, obviously, but, that's why it feels so different. A lot of these primetime games that we've covered have been late in the season when they're kind of out of it. Boy, this one matters and it's fun.
It does matter. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play meaningful football. That's been the theme kind of running around the locker room, players talking about it, coaches talking about it. So then in the stretch run, you have an opportunity to play games that are primetime games. So this is one where everyone have an opportunity to see the Jaguars maybe for the first time this season. And then you have a chance to kind of put yourself in playoff contention. So it's a lot of fun. I think the players should feed off of the energy and the urgency that kind of accompanies these kind of moments.
Oh, there's everything right in front of both teams tonight. They know what's at stake, so I expect we'll get the best effort out of both of them. Bucky, we've been asking everybody tonight to play amateur meteorologist. What are you guys hearing? And like from a defender's point of view, what's it like playing in wet conditions on a rainy night in prime time?
Well, I hate to disappoint you because it's not what I thought it would be. There's not a monsoon. It's not the steady rain where we have to get on Noah's Ark. It's really kind of nice. It's a little chilly. It may mist a little bit. So for the players on both teams, this is kind of like an ideal situation. Outside of being cold and you got to sleeve up, weather doesn't appear to be a factor. Now, it may change at game time, but right now it's not a factor at all.
Yeah, I feel much better about the Jaguars' chances than I did when I left the hotel because, like Bucky said, when you're on the field, it's cold. I mean, it's not going to be cold for me because I'm in the press box. But for Bucky, it will be cold. But I worried today and yesterday, JP, about, slick conditions, it feeling like Philadelphia, for all the Trevor reasons and all that, but just and that can create sort of fluky plays. Maybe Zach Wilson throws a big one downfield, the guy slips. It doesn't feel like that kind of a game, and I think the Jaguars' offense will be able to be precise and efficient. That's what I was worried about. They've been so good on that front. I worried about them not being able to do that. I'll defer to Bucky a little bit, but I think they'll be able to execute what they want to do.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem at all. I don't think it'll be a situation where Coach Pederson or Coach Galway have to really take the weather into account. Now, we always have to focus on the wind and how the wind whips around the stadium, but in terms of the ball being slick and those things, it should be ready to go.
All right, so officially 80% chance of rain about 8 o'clock and 90% around 10 o'clock tonight, so it could progress. We'll see, but animals are not lining up 2 by 2 at this point. That's good news.
No, not yet.
Not inside.
Yet. They're not ready to get on the arc. I was ready for it, though.
That's right. That's positive. Walker Little getting the nod at left tackle tonight, so second-round pick. Here's your opportunity down the stretch, Walker, to prove it, right, guys?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for Walker Little. He did a really good job stepping in for Cam Robinson last week, having to deal with Michael Parsons in critical moments. That should give him a little confidence. And then you had a couple practice days to kind of figure out the pass protection plan because this front line is pretty talented, and they're going to come after him, and they're really going to come after both sides. And so you got to be solid on the edges. But if Quentin Williams goes, that's where you really need to pay attention to where does he line up, who has to take care of him, because he's the monster. He's kind of the straw that stirs the drink for the Jets.
Yeah, remember in the preseason, guys, when the big crisis points for this franchise were, kicker gate when they couldn't find a kicker.
Yeah.
And everybody was just really concerned about the depth. And I kind of thought they were okay depth-wise, especially on the offensive line. I mean, this is why you build 7 deep offensive lines. They had Shatley ready to go in for Barch. You drafted Walker Little. You have 3 second-round talents at your tackle position. You're built that you're supposed to be able to withstand this without a catastrophe. I don't think that Walker Little is as good as Cam Robinson, or he'd be starting. But Walker Little is supposed to keep you out of a catastrophic situation out there, and I think so far he's never looked catastrophic to me playing. So I think they'll be able to get by it fine. You might see a lapse or two, but I don't think that injury is going to define their season.
All right, let's talk about what the offensive approach is tonight when you go up against these corners. As we've mentioned on the broadcast a couple of times, Detroit didn't throw at Sauce Gardner once last week. The Jags are a team that's pass first, clearly, and that's who they are. Do you anticipate any heavier workload than normal for Travis Etienne because of the Jets' prowess in pass defense, or is it all systems go with what Doug Pederson typically runs?
Oh, I think it's all systems go, but I would anticipate the passing game working inside out, meaning what you want to do, because what the Jets do is very simplistic in design. They just execute it really well because they play fast. And so the outside guys are going to press, and they're going to try and take away those deep balls and those things. And so the favorable matchups are going to be inside the numbers. And so however Doug Pederson reconfigures the formation, I would look for the inside guys to get the bulk of the targets. And that means Evan Ingram, Zay Jones, Christian Kirk could be big games for them as they work in the inside part of the field as opposed to really trying to test those guys on the outside.
I have a question for the analyst, JP and Mike. Not to step on your toes because your questions are great, but I have a question for Bucky. You mentioned on the way up to the press box that Doug often fares well against simplistic defenses, not to criticize the Jets, but they run simplistic. And he's been very good on Thursday night. Does that play into each other, I guess is my question.
Well, some of that plays into it. It really plays into his favor this week because, one, you're going against a simplistic defense on a short week. So it didn't take a lot of, I won't say brain power, but he didn't have to come with these elaborate schemes to figure out how to attack Robert Saleh's defense. The other thing, when you think about Robert Saleh and Gus Bradley and everyone that kind of stems from that Seattle Seahawks tree, everyone knows exactly what you're doing. You know the points of conflict that you can create with certain play designs. And so how does Doug get to those, and who does he elect to kind of feature? We saw when they played in Indianapolis 2 times, he had a lot of success working inside Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, really worked the interior. That will be the matchup that you want to watch early in the game. How does he elect to attack this Jets defense? Sauce Gardner is terrific, so maybe you stay away from him. But there's some other guys that you can get, so how does he go about trying to take advantage of those matchups?
Bucky Brooks and John Oehser joining us from MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Final thought here. We just saw Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson shaking hands and chatting on the field on the television screen in front of us here. So Wilson's getting the nod again this week with Mike White's rib issues. So how do you fluster Zach Wilson when he's playing well? What does he do, and how can you get to him, Bucky?
Well, the number one thing to fluster any quarterback is you got to hit him. And so the pass rush has to be a factor in terms of being able to get to him. But before you can get to the pass rush, you have to take care of the running game. And what the Jets try and do is they try and protect the quarterback by running the football, running it effectively, throwing off play action, doing things in favorable downs and distances for the quarterback. So early down defense matters. Can you get the Jets into second and long where it's obvious passing downs? And then you begin to heat up Zach Wilson. He is athletic, so you got to make sure that you rush not beyond the depth of the quarterback, but try and keep him in the mousetrap, make him throw, and then take away the deep balls. Because what you want to do with Zach Wilson is test his patience and his discipline. How often will he take the check down before he gets kind of jumpy and tries to make a hero throw? And when he overthrows it or he throws an errant pass, we got to catch it. We've been good getting turnovers because we caught the balls that hit us in the chest. We got to do that all over again.
Yeah, I know last year means nothing, but I still have memories of the Jets running last year against this team, and Zach had a bunch of yards. I don't think it'll be like that tonight. I agree with Bucky. I'm watching for them to stop the run and get some pressure on Zach Wilson a little bit the way they did Prescott last week. Not that they stopped the run, but get him into some situations where he's throwing passes he doesn't like to throw. That's going to be this defense's formula. You've got to create turnovers when you have the opportunity. They're not going to just dominate people, but the Jets aren't a great offense. I think you can get turnovers tonight.
All right, fellas, thanks a lot. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk to you a little bit later.
Do it.
Guys, thanks.
Bucky Brooks, John Ozier joining us from MetLife Stadium, East Rutherford, New Jersey. And check out the weekly Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks show Wednesdays at 4 on Jaguars.com and the Jag social channels, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And Jaguars Game Day Radio is brought to you by ViStar Credit Union. Do good, bank better. We're coming up on 20 minutes from Jaguars Radio Network coverage with Countdown to Kickoff. Actually, about 16 minutes from now. We'll have a fantasy forecast coming up. Up next, we'll have the inactives for tonight's game, and we'll go to the broadcast booth with Frank Frangie. The Jags and the Jets coming up at 8:15 on Thursday Night Football. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dogs and the cat, let us help. With Publix Delivery powered by Instacart, you'll get the items you need from the store you know. Just shop online, select the time you'd like your order delivered, and grocery shopping is done, giving you more time to take care of everything else.
Publix Delivery, powered by Instacart. Visit Publix.com/delivery to shop now. That's Publix.com/delivery. Item prices vary from in-store prices. Service fees may apply. Available in select zip codes. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, one taste and you're feeling good now, smiling wider now, seeing brighter now, bucket dunking now, namasteing now, popping a wheelie now, living lighter now. You're on Tropic Time now. And on Mondays, try our Jaguars Duval Delight Smoothies for $2.99. And you're roaring louder now, end zone dancing now, sipping spirit now. You're on Tropic Time now at Tropical Smoothie Cafe.
How far should we go? When it comes to the health of children, we will stop at nothing, focusing on prevention as much as cures. Working with community leaders, educators, policymakers to make every child's world a place for them to thrive. Going to the nth degree and beyond. Nemours Children's Health, well beyond medicine. Join the journey at nemours.org/beyond.
The original pizza logs are a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars and available at the stadium on game day. You'll find those delicious gourmet pizza egg rolls at concession stands, clubs, and suites. For all their products, be sure to check out pizzalogs.com and have them delivered right to your home. That's pizzalogs.com.
Put down the burger, put down the dog. Pick up the original pizza log. There's only one. The original pizza log. Yeah.
Unlock your potential at the University of North Florida. A top public university with more than 100 majors, UNF is number one among state schools for the highest percentage of graduates employed in Florida. Affordable tuition, programs in high-demand fields, and faculty who care. Swoop into your future at UNF. Visit unf.edu to learn more.
At most sandwich places, asking for more of something is just part of the drill. But what if you never had to ask for more? What if more was just a given? At Daly's, more is what our sandwiches are built on. More meat, more cheese, more veggies, more quality, more taste. All for a price that's anything but more. Sandwiches from Dash, made fresh. Daly's.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. The Jaguars and the Jets coming up on Thursday Night Football. It's an 8:15 kickoff time. That means the inactives have just been announced. The Jaguars officially have 7 players down for the game tonight. Wide receiver Kendrick Pryor, one of those. Cornerback Monteric Brown is out. Gregory Jr., cornerback, just elevated to the roster. He's down tonight. Outside linebacker Trayvon Walker, still dealing with an ankle injury, will not play. Deshaun Dixon, rookie outside linebacker, has been inactive most of the year. Cam Robinson, with the knee injury, is likely out for the season. He's out tonight. Foley Fatukasi also out. The Jaguars' defensive lineman will not play. There have been 2 players elevated to the active roster out the practice squad. Standard elevations for Coy Cronk on the offensive line and Jeremiah Ledbetter on the defensive line as well.
All right, for the Jets, 3 players that had been questionable this week are available to them. Defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, wide receiver Corey Davis, and running back Zonovan Bam Knight will all play tonight for New York. The inactives for the Jets include quarterback Mike White, wide receiver Denzel Mims, wide receiver Jeff Smith, cornerback Brandon Eccles, tight end Jeremy Ruckert, safety LaMarcus Joyner, and, of course, former Jaguar running back James Robinson will have to wait to get his on-field revenge against the Jags for a later date.
Well, he's got to reach, 600 total yards this year?
He needs another 185 to bump that thing up. He would have loved to have gotten the opportunity there, but not going to happen tonight. And I don't think the Jets are going to give him much of a chance to get anywhere near that threshold.
I don't think so. There you have it. Inactives are in. How about a quick fantasy forecast, Week 16?
All right, just a reminder, check the weather forecast this week. And I'm not saying you can't play guys in bad weather. Maybe use it as a tiebreaker if you have a tough decision between 2 players. Particularly prioritize dumping your kicker playing in bad conditions outdoors for an indoor kicker. Players that have been ruled out already include Tennessee's Ryan Tannehill, so Malik Willis will start against the Texans. We're hoping to have Brandon Cooks back in the lineup. He's questionable, which is an upgrade from where he's been missing games the last few weeks. Lamar Jackson will miss another game for the Baltimore Ravens. Tyler Huntley is questionable, but John Harbaugh said he will start. Should be fine. He is listed with a shoulder injury. Jalen Hurts, we've known, would likely not play. That's official now. Nick Sirianni confirmed that today with a shoulder injury. Former Jaguar quarterback Gardner Minshew gets a start in Dallas for New Orleans. In bad weather in Cleveland, they'll be without their leading receiver Chris Olave. He's out with a hamstring. Jarvis Landry placed on injured reserve earlier today. Kenneth Walker's one to watch for Seattle. Their running back looked good on Thursday night last week, looked healthy, but ankle and back issues have him listed as questionable. Pete Carroll said today that they expect him to be able to play.
There you have it, a fantasy forecast, and yes, weather will be an issue. We'll see if it's an issue tonight at the Meadowlands of New Jersey at MetLife Stadium, where Frank Frangie joins us now from the broadcast booth. So far, so good. There is some rain in the forecast tonight, Frank, but hey, that's not going to spoil what is a fantastic big-time football game, really, for both teams, the Jets and the Jaguars, both in the hunt in the AFC playoff race, Frank.
Boy, you're exactly right, JP. Hello to you and Mike, and you said it exactly right. The Jags get to play on national television. The Jags are in a playoff race, so are the Jets. Neither of these teams have been able to say that in a while. And, yeah, the weather, it looks like, might be okay. We thought it was going to be a heavy rain, JP, throughout the course of the night. It's a drizzle, and it's been a steady drizzle. And the temperature's in the low 40s, and it probably feels more like the high 30s. But it could be worse. Certainly, we'll see what happens at kickoff. But it's not nearly as dreadful as I think many people had expected by now.
Frank, we've been starting tonight a lot with Trevor Lawrence. Let's start on the other side defensively. What do you think the Jags can do to make it hard on Zach Wilson tonight?
You know, I'm a little concerned because I think I've said all along, Mike, I thought this would be a game where teams had to run the ball because it was going to be hard to pass, the wind and the rain. I might have been wrong about that because it doesn't feel that way, at least at this point, or an hour or so out, obviously. But it doesn't feel that way. So at that point, you got to get after the passer, and they haven't been great at that. I worry about Fatukasi and Trayvon Walker both not playing from a run standpoint. But from a pass rush standpoint, Mike, I don't think either one of them have been big factors in the pass rush. I really don't. So I think you get after him. I think you might see some 5- and 6-man coming after him and make him read defenses. He's good off schedule. He's a good runner. He had the 52-yard run against the Jaguars last year. People remember that. But I don't know that he's great at reading blitzes and understanding what the defense is doing. So my guess would be they'll come after him a little bit tonight. We'll see.
Frank Frangie joining us from MetLife Stadium. Trevor Lawrence has the hot hand right now, of course, and you know that'll be the thing too. Travis Etienne's running the ball well. They're spreading it out to a bunch of different receivers. What Jaguars offense do you pull out of the playbook tonight?
I got to believe this. We at some point, JP, you learn who you are, right? No matter who you're playing, no matter what the circumstance are, is good teams, they are who they are. Good, tough running teams are good, tough running teams. Teams that throw the football, and it doesn't matter who they play. I think that's who the Jaguars are. Trevor Lawrence, 14 touchdowns and 1 interception in those last 6 games. Think about that for a second. They're 4-2 in those games. He has arrived. I think that's a general consensus. That's the national narrative as well as the one around where we live. I think you throw the football. I think you're going to throw it all over the place. We've learned now that all 3 of the new receivers, the guys that got here this year, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram, can impact the game, JP. I think we all know that. I think the Jets know that. I think an audience watching that knows that. So I think you're going to see the ball all over the place. You know, and I think one thing about a dreary day if it rains a little bit and drizzles, that really helps the offense because the receiver knows where he's going. So I would expect to see the ball in the air the way we've been seeing it.
Frank, Trav Etienne needs 83 yards to hit 1,000, be the first Doug Pederson running back to hit that threshold. Does he get it tonight?
I think he does. I think he's going to be a very active player. I don't know that it's pound the rock 25 times, but I think you're going to see him in space a little bit. I think certainly you're going to see some draw plays. I'll bet he gets there. And look, we could have a night tonight where he goes over 1,000 yards on the ground and Christian Kirk goes over 1,000 yards in the air. Look, it's been a while since this franchise has had two guys. Both could happen tonight on national TV, Mike.
Did it with DJ Chark and Leonard Fournette a few years back.
That's exactly right.
That's one of the few times in the last 20 years they've had that combo.
It has not happened very often. And look, these two guys are just getting started. We forget Christian Kirk seems like he's been around forever. Just turned 26. Obviously, Etienne's a very young player. We know that as well. He's 23. I think we could see numbers like that for a long time. I'm excited about this one, guys. I'm excited about the whole nation watching. It wouldn't have been as good as if the whole country had seen this team 7 weeks ago. But I can't wait for the whole nation to see this team now and what they've become. I really mean that.
Yeah, and back to the offense quickly. Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram are all on pace. I think Zay's already over his career bests in catches and yardage, but the other two can get there either tonight or the next week as well. So it's been a full collective effort on the offensive side of the football. Frank, have a great call in New Jersey tonight and bring us a W back. How about that?
All right, fellas, we'll do it. Thank you.
Frangie joining us from MetLife Stadium in New Jersey as the Jaguars prepare to face the New York Jets on Thursday Night Football. Well, the 1 and 2 quarterbacks in the draft a couple years ago going at it for a second time. They're always going to be at least named together, and we'll see how the careers go, obviously. But here they are, 1-2 in the draft 2 years ago again.
I have a feeling how the careers will go, but let's even up the head-to-head record tonight and worry about that later.
Okay, one game at a time, right? That's the way it works, but this is the next one up. Trevor Lawrence on a roll right now, trying to take it on the road to New York against the New York Jets tonight, and Zach Wilson getting the nod on the other side. Plenty to come. Jaguars Radio Network coverage coming up in just a few moments with countdown to kickoff. We'll have the top stories again. We'll hear from Fred Taylor and the final word before kickoff with Jags head coach Doug Pederson. Jaguars Jets at 8:15 tonight. Thank you for listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
You're beyond busy. Between work and the kids, the dog